Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm preparing for the meeting.
Oh, we just finished.
You just finished?
Yeah.
Oh, that's serious. I'm just coming in. Oh.
No,
I didn't check the time.
I'm just joking with you.
Oh, Dan. All right. I'm at a lot. I'm preparing for the meeting. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm preparing myself.
All right. All right. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Oh, you boyish, huh?
Good. Who's talking? Hello. Okay. Okay, we'll wait a little bit longer. Well, thanks for joining. Today we're going to focus on KaRaTs and also security tokens versus utility tokens. And it's important to know what the difference is and why we're using utility tokens and not security tokens. One is we don't want to be a security, and I'm going to discuss, go through, a video like I've been bringing these educational videos to start these Q&As with, and we can use this as a basis to build on. So this first video the one yesterday was talking about what is a stable coin. And a stable coin has to do with what is behind it to give it value. So we're going to discuss that as well as part of this discussion about utility tokens and security tokens. And then we'll kind of lay it out. And then we'll get into what about KaRaTs. One of the seemed to be the topic of conversation was going on, was talking about KaRaTs and relation to TPC. And so the Kringle reward token is not a TPC and it's not going to be exchanged for TPC. KaRaTs have value behind it in, say, Bitcoin or other coins, and you can basically, exchange those KaRaTs at any time and remove that value that's sitting there. So it's almost like a trade, but it's being used as an internal exchange token or trade token. For the idea is to get this into as a payment gateway, so that we can work with hotels and airlines and any online retailer, offline retailer. So this is since it's internal to our community, it's not meant to go outside. But when we deal with, say, an airline, they become a partner, so they're going to be accepting this this token, this KaRaTs. They'll be accepting KaRaTs, and the only reason they do that is because there is actually behind it a value that they can take and exchange for something else that they want to have. We'll just call it Bitcoin, so we'll be able to exchange it for Bitcoin. All right, so we haven't added too many new people, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start by playing the video, and we'll go from there.
Utility tokens and security tokens are multi-million-dollar concepts funding startups around the world, but it can be pretty difficult to understand what the difference between the two actually is. Let's put security tokens and utility tokens under the microscope and help you clearly understand what both of them are and what they're needed for. Let's start here. What are tokens? Generally speaking, a token is a representation of something in a particular ecosystem. For example, it could represent a value, like $20, or it could represent something more abstract, like a vote or an identity. A token is different from a cryptocurrency in that it is constrained to its environment. Ether can be used to interact with many different contracts and projects, but a token like Omisigo or Golem are specifically meant to be used within their project's ecosystem. So that's tokens. But what about utility and security tokens? A utility token is something that provides the user with a product or a service. Think of them like a gateway. They often allow users access to a network, or to have their voices heard on a network through voting. Now, this might sound like a broad definition, and you're right, it is. Most tokens will say that they're a utility token, but that is often not the case because of how they're being sold by the token's developers. So even though the definition of a utility token is so broad, a true utility token is actually quite rare. Being a utility token allows you to escape some government regulation and taxes, so it's understandable why many developers seek to use that name, even when it isn't true. Many tokens that say they're utility tokens are actually security tokens. Let's talk about why. The Howey test is a test used by the Securities and Exchange Commission to decide if an investment is a security or not. This test has been applied in the crypto space several times to determine whether a token is a utility token or a security token. So if you're trying to figure out the answer for yourself, the questions it asks are good points to begin your investigation. Is there an investment of money?
So let's stop it right there. So this is where we have to look at first. Is it an investment? So when we just start talking about investment and return on investment, or ROI, this is talking about dealing with securities, because they're dealing with something that is securitizing a debt. And it all refers to things that are within the financial system. Fiat money is a security. So if you're dealing with fiat money, you're dealing with securities. If you're using it as a method of exchange. So when you gather these securities together and you're then going to put it into something and you're going to call it an investment, and you're going to expect a return on that investment, a profit, you're in the world of securities. So from the very beginning, a lot of tokens, they say they're a utility token, but they immediately start saying, well, this is your investment. So they don't know what they're doing. So this is one of the reasons to start off with. We never say that we are looking for investment. We're not trying to get investors, right? So we'll continue. We'll talk about it a lot as we go.
This investment into a common enterprise. Is there an expectation of profit for the investors? Is this expectation of profit based on the work of others?
So let's talk about this. So this one says, is the investment into a common enterprise? Another word, enterprise. We're not an enterprise. Right? So is there an expectation of profit? Again, that word, profit, which means in the world of securities. So this is why we don't talk about it and say, hey, it's an investment. We don't use those words. There are other words, because we're not that, we have to use other words. So is there an expectation of profit for the, again, investors, right? These are all word bombs. You got to watch out for them. All right. Is there an expectation of profit based on the work of others? Again, profit. Again, that word is one of those that's tied in with the securities. So these are words that we do not use, and we're not that, but we'll get into that.
Again, this is very broad. So you can see how almost every token ever sold could fall into the category of security, and why a utility token would be exceedingly rare. Almost every token sale or ICO ever fits the bill here. Are people investing money into the token? Absolutely. Is this money going towards one business or enterprise? Yeah.
So, again, they start talking about investment. Is it going towards the enterprise, the business, where profit is made?
The funds received are almost always held and controlled by the business behind the token. Is there an expectation of profit for the investors? Definitely. Is that profit based on the work of others? Again, yes, as the employees and developers behind the project are relied upon to provide a working ecosystem around the token that will increase its value. So then a security token is any token that answers yes, in full, or often even in part, to any of the questions posed in the Howey test. Any tokens that could be called security tokens are subject to many regulations in the United States and could face very severe penalties for not abiding by them. So a lot of tokens accidentally fell into this category and now face an uncertain future because of it. However, some tokens set out to meet these requirements and regulations intentionally, and thus are much more secure in their operations.
So this is also one of the things that is going to be very big in 2020, right? Security tokens. They mean that they want to be a security token, and that is perfectly fine, right? That's really like saying you want to invest in a company, right? So this is another sort of investment type, stock market type system, right? it's a new thing, right? But they're trying to fit in with the old existing systems, right? So, but that's fine if that's what they want to be.
Once a token is classified as a security token, it means that it's representative of legal ownership of an asset, either physical or digital. That ownership must be verifiable on a blockchain. But the true value of a security token lies in its ability to democratize the ownership of assets. For example, in the real estate world, you can't really buy 1/100th of a house, simply because a house can't reasonably be split up 100 ways. But with a security token, one could generate 100 tokens that represent stake in a home. This significantly lowers the bar of capital required to invest and see returns in expensive markets, as well as allowing for group ownership of things that were previously impossible to own in a group. If I can only afford 10% of a house, suddenly I can purchase 10% of a house as an investment and avoid taking on a large loan just to enter the real estate market. In conclusion, a utility token is a token that does not meet the requirements of the Howey test, and as such does not have any expectation of profit. Its value may rise and fall based on supply and demand.
So let's look at this. So first, the Howey test, right? So we're talking about. So we're merely jumping into investments and expectation of profits and things like that. So we're not going to go there, right? The next is it has a value that may rise and fall depending based upon supply and demand. Well, we have a value that's attached to the price of gold, right? For the gold grade coins, right? So it is attached to that whatever that fluctuation is, and the token entitles you to trade that token in for a guaranteed price at that whatever the market is at that time. So depending whatever that price is, that's what that is, like a ticket, right? It entitles you to get that.
Value cannot be tied in any way to the value of the company behind it. Because they are unregulated, they can be generated and sold freely, including by scammers. So be sure to exercise caution when buying. A security token is a token.
So on here where it's in, its value is tied to the value of the company in issuing the token. So in no way is what we're doing tying to the value of a company. Number one, there's no company, right? We are actually an ecosystem based around a private contract association or a society.
That meets any or all of the requirements of the Howey test and has an expectation of profit. It is regulated by the SEC, and both investors and developers need to be conscious of that. If your token accidentally falls into the category of security, you could definitely be in trouble. Security tokens that are clear about being a security token often have big benefits, such as project stability and scam prevention. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so let's talk about the scam prediction. So unregulated, which means it's prone to scams and attacks. So one of the things that we know coming from the Kringle's community is that there have been so many scammers that have been attacking the whole community because of the nature of what Kringle Coin is that there are no exchanges, and the need for people to want to exchange this tremendous value that's sitting there. They want to find any possible way to get to it, and they end up falling into the traps. So we want to avoid the scamming as much as possible. And so we want to set a good example. We will be using certified accountants to look at the books, right? To make sure that the value that's being generated, the coins that are being generated. So one of the things what we do is when we talk, about what we're doing here, right? When we're generating coin, right? And that coin is then based upon participation, it gets awarded to the different members. So we have to speak in the same words, right? We have to use the words that that are not associated with securities, right? Which is, we don't say these other words such as profit and investment and ROI, and where we look at it from the standpoint of what we're actually doing, right? And now we may have to be creative in what we want to call it, because we have to speak in a way that represents it. So generating coin, we're generating coin. Now, this means, you know, we're going to have extra to then give out. Oh, excuse me one moment. Sorry. My wife brought another kitten home. So I just heard it cry. I said, what's going on? It's okay. But they seem to like to, wherever I'm sitting, they like to come and sit next to me. So right back to, so let's move on. We'll get out of this screen right here. All right. So let's talk about KaRaTs, right? So yesterday we talked about gold grain coins, or grains, and it is basically both of what we have are tokens, right? Both of them we're generating coin and putting behind that coin as something to be able to be traded in for, right? So it is the in the wording from yesterday, we're using collateralization, right? That's probably not the appropriate word for us to use. I believe it's probably, again, tied in with the word investment, and that is collateralizing loans, debt instruments. So we'll have to come up with another word, and let's say that would be backing, right? You know, a pool of coin that's there for trade. So these are the type of terminology we have to speak with. And as leaders in this, we need to be able to use the same language and convey this information to the people that are coming in, so they don't go off and start saying things. There's many well-meaning you know, ventures that got started and they were doing really well, and then they had to close down. And all because the people that were involved with it started saying, oh, well, it's an investment, it's an investment. Even the company was saying the same thing, because they were thinking that they're a utility or they're doing something that's outside of the realm of this, but they get into a problem, right? Because they're using the wrong terminology. All right, so let's talk about KaRaTs. So Kringle reward tokens. So we add, you know, we could just call it KaRaTs, but since we're dealing with gold grains on the other end here, KaRaTs sounds very close to carats. You throw a couple A's in there, we got KaRaTs, right? So, and you know, we got 14 karat, 24 karat gold, you know, it kind of works out. We end up, we also have carats regarding diamonds. So the symbol that we're using for the KaRaTs is actually a gold diamond. So KaRaTs are basically the benefit that you're getting for participation. Now, this could be from joining in with our AI trading platform, right? So that program is going on, and you're going to put into it trading. You can get rewarded in KaRaTs. Now, let's look at what's happening. Let's say that the Sarah gold is running, right? And every day, an amount of Bitcoin and other coin arrive into a benefits pool. What that does is it increases the value that's sitting there. Now, based upon the participation, KaRaTs get awarded out. And so what is the value of a KaRaT is based upon on the formulas, and all the formulas are on the website. And it's the basics of it is a very simple formula. That is the amount of value that's sitting there divided by all the KaRaTs. So that'll give a price based in Bitcoin or in gold. One of the things that we will be doing is referring to everything between gold and Bitcoin. So we'll use that as our reference point. Since the SEC also deemed Bitcoin not to be a security. So it is a cryptocurrency. So we want to stay remaining a cryptocurrency and not a security token. So since the value is always sitting there in crypto coin, it's there to be traded back out, right? And once we trade this out, we're able to go ahead and translate it into Bitcoin if that's what you want. Or when we have partnerships set up, we're able to go ahead and say work with like the hotels, and we can say, listen, we've got these customers. They wanna come and stay at your hotel. All you got to do is install this app, and then you can receive payment. And then at any time you can translate that, move it into Bitcoin. You can move into one of these other cryptos. Then after that, you can do what you want. There's plenty of things out there in the market to go into an exchange. So bringing a large customer base means they want to do these extra steps to start working with this other payment system. We have some background noise going on. I'm just going to mute everyone. If you would like to ask a question, raise your hand, which means on the icons on the side there, you're going to have to say, hey, I'm putting my hand up, and then you can ask a question. All right. So why don't I'm going to bring about our Kringle Gold KaRaTs page. Share my screen. Okay, so here's the gold diamond KaRaT. So I'll click on that. Let me see about this one. Oh, that's the community page, not the KaRaTs page. You know, this. Let me see. Yeah, maybe that's gonna keep calling back. So give me a moment here. I'd like him to come on and have a conversation as part of his also working with us. It's right. Are you trying to get on the Zoom meeting? No, the Zoom meeting we're covering KaRaTs right now. Yeah. Okay, so if you want, I'll send you the link. You can jump on if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to get back on to. The last two nights, there's been, you know, a meeting with the same link. So if you have that link, it's also posted in the groups. Okay. All right, but we're live now, so All right. Kringle reward tokens. So our members' benefits are provided as a token called Kringle reward tokens, KRT, we call KaRaTs. So 1 billion KaRaTs are staked out on the Ethereum blockchain, but we're not using Ethereum. The site still needs to be updated to the new blockchain information. But in essence, we're still, it's basically about the same information other than the blockchain. So KaRaTs are the cryptocurrency that flows through our Kringle ecosystem, sorry. Kringle reward tokens are bonuses sent to members for programs they decide to participate in within the private contract association. KaRaTs are only generated within the ecosystem and cannot be transferred out of the ecosystem, and thus are not available on any external exchanges. Now, I'm going to say that there is something to be aware of, though. You can exchange them for, say, Bitcoin, right, between members, right? Because you're all together in the same ecosystem. If you want to exchange for goods or services or Bitcoin, you can do that. Now, in regard to doing that, it may be something we will be setting up as kind of an escrow type system as part of it. So if you don't know who it is and you're exchanging between other members, you may want to use the escrow. I just wanted to bring that up because, it almost as though we're doing a decentralized exchange. It's just within our own system. So KaRaTs can be traded within the ecosystem for Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold, green coins, or other added crypto coins. KaRaTs can also be used as a medium of exchange for products and services for our partners. The members' experience and benefit of the reward systems will recommend others to join and grow our community. So now we do have an abundance algorithm. So this is, under the Kringle coin, TBC, there is an abundance formula. Now this was attached, it used the price of a grain of gold and it added to the price. Now it was really about the value coming from the people, right? From the actual members. They were giving of their value, right? To this system. And this is why in the world, it's hard to express this for TBC and Kringles. Is a lot of people just don't understand that that's how the existing world system works. It's kind of been hidden from everybody. So that's why it's made it very difficult to explain the value there. Well, I want to go out to an exchange. Well, it's just not designed for that. So in this case, under KaRaTs, there is an abundance formula, but it has to do with the actual value being set aside within what we call KaRaT reserve, KaRaT value reserve, excuse me. And it's based on 1 to 5% daily of what's coming in by way of the Sarah Gold into the members pool. So what it's not actually doing anything other than it's not actually putting more coin in. What it's doing is it's setting aside in which KaRaTs are not given out based upon that value. And since that is not generating any KaRaTs, that means that there's more value there. So when you divide it with less KaRaTs, the value of each KaRaT goes up, or in other words, the price of each KaRaT goes up. So this is a KaRaT value abundance algorithm. So the basic formula, though, well, we'll talk about this. So the atomic swap technology is really about a way of exchanging cryptos with one another, which also means going to, say, USDT, which would then be converted into and working with banks or other cryptocurrencies. We could be also working it out to that basis. So since we have the value sitting there, no matter which way we want to go, even out to a debit card, it would be able to be generated for payments. And then the benefits, right? So this is really what we've been talking about, is the distribution of these KaRaTs for the benefits, right? Now we go really into how the abundance algorithm works and what the formulas are. So the basic formula for price, so P is equal to G divided by N, where G is the value of all of the crypto that's sitting there. And N is the number of KaRaTs. So you're just dividing the value that's sitting there. Let's say it was 100 Bitcoin sitting there. And let's say there was just 1 KaRaT. So you had 100 Bitcoin divided by 1 KaRaT. How much is the value of the KaRaT, the price? Well, whatever the price of 100 Bitcoins is, it'll be the 1 KaRaT. But if you have 1,000,000 KaRaTs divided into the 100 Bitcoin, the value would be whatever that is. But so whatever you go to exchange, the value is sitting there. All right, so that's the basis of it. So it's just it talks about some modifiers and things like that, because they're where there's an additional when you're adding to the price, it's the abundance algorithm. You're subtracting. Well, there's because you've redeemed some KaRaTs, right? So that value left the system. And then you talk about what the total calculations are. And this talks really about doing the atomic swap exchanging, and this means that we go out to an API or wallet QR code, for our partners. We have all the value of Bitcoin sitting there, so it's quick to exchange it back out. We're cashing out is a guaranteed gold at spot. Now we're really talking about the grains gold coins at this time, because that's part of the ecosystem as well. APIs for doing online transactions, QR codes for merchants and member transactions, and then we have partners. And we go into the benefits. Anyway, so that's what we've been discussing, is really how we're going to be using these, and how it comes basically from this benefit pool that is filled every day by the Sarah Gold AI trading, well, plus the other programs. Every program that's out there, has a different methodology. We're focused on the Sarah Gold because this is what we're connected to the gold grains, and the gold grains are the way we basically bring all this value into our ecosystem. Okay. All right, so that's it. So let's answer some questions. So who first wants to raise their hand? And I'll go ahead and unmute you. I do see an Alan there. I don't know if it's the Alan I was just speaking with on the phone. Okay, no questions. That means we're all done. This was a very simple one for today. Everybody, oh, there goes the hands. Okay. Okay, Gerard. How's it going? I'll unmute you.
Hello.
Hey, Gerard. Long time no hear.
Well, I sent you a message this morning, but I wanted to ask a question, but just make a few observations. I mean, first of all, I just there are people here who know me. I want to make it clear that me being here doesn't mean I'm, you know, putting an open message out that I'm rebelling against anybody. You know, I have I have observations, and I've Dan knows them, and we you know, that's fine. But I wanted to ask a couple of valid questions based on the history of TBC, and of course this is really meant to progress it further. Now, as you know, I've been in TBC since 2016, probably about 4 or 5 months after it started. Now, my observation on TBC, which nobody else seemed to notice, or maybe you did, but you didn't say anything. My first observation, and I mentioned this to you in a message this morning, was that TBC was running in momentum for the first year. Now what you said about the SEM meeting was correct, but that was later. But my first point was that I believe the first momentum was lost after a year, because immediately after a year, the internet was saturated with people trying to sell TBC. And what I'm saying is that I believe there will be an online saturation of this within a few months. But having said that, I believe, this is just my opinion, that the long way forward will actually be offline. I mean, all these people here will be going to the internet straight away, and it will be completely saturated within about 3 to 6 months. But my point is that I believe that offline in future would be the way, with leaflets. That would be my observation based on what I saw in TBC. My second point is, you mentioned rightly about people using certain terms and things. We didn't really have that problem much in TBC, but it could be a problem here if people do it. But my point on this is,
but you know, I think it was not as much of a problem, though it did occur. But we were on it from the very beginning. You know, making sure that everyone knew that we were, you know, private. Private. We were a community. We were not, you know, a security. So we knew this from the beginning. That's why we didn't have as much of a, you know, going up. That's why I'm making a point to bring it up right now.
Yeah, well, and that's right, and hopefully that can happen with this, you know. But my point with TBC is that it even as it is, it's become, I've noticed this a long time, it's become very complicated, and you know, to actually get somebody to into TBC, it would take a heck of a lot of explaining and sitting down, and this is what I think has been the problem with TBC. From what it was originally, it just became so complicated. And what I believe we really need, and I've said this a while ago, we need a straight, simple sign up. We shouldn't have to be sitting there training people for hours. It shouldn't be that way. We've got technology. What we need is a website that spells out this, and this. Yes, we can have videos, but they can be separate. They can be extra if people want to. But people want the bottom line quickly. Let's be honest. The people at TBC like Mbe, and I have a lot of respect for Mbe, because I think he is walking the talk. But they're not sitting down one-to-one with people, having to go and explain every little thing. They've got bird dogs, so they've got other people to do it. But we shouldn't even need to do that. It should be a simple website, right? That where, you know, people can get the bottom line within a few minutes themselves and sign up. And yes, we can help them, but at least, you know, we don't. That's part of what's the problem is in TBC. I think a lot of people are giving up before even time. How do you start? Where do you start? It's just too much information there. And I've spoken to people and they've all agreed, but I noticed this a long time ago. And I think that's one of the real issues, although there's a lot, but that's one of the real issues with TBC.
No, I think you're right there. Now, I don't understand why you think that that with what I'm doing here, that it would end up being saturated within 3 to 6 months.
Well, no, I'm talking. No, I'm not saying the actual opportunity. I'm just making an observation. I'm not. Based on what I know from TBC and other things, something like this, you'd have a few people and some who've got a lot of contacts, and within 3 months on the internet, it would do well. It will do well, but what we don't want is, everywhere you go, there's people. So people will think, well, it's saturated. There's no point in offering it. But I do think a valid way forward is offline anyway, and I do think that with a leaflet, and that's what they're doing in Africa. That's what Mbe is doing. And that's what the top people have been doing in the Philippines. But I do believe after 3-4 months, there may well be a lot, and there will be a lot coming in, but, people not to give up just because, they might think it's saturated. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't think we're going to get to saturation so quickly, but we really have the gold grain coin, the grains, I think is going to go like gangbusters and go on and on and on, because it's especially, let's talk about a 2-year time frame. As the fiat systems collapse, there's going to be and if you may have noticed, gold even went up $100 today. So this, and it went up about $200. It's actually gone up about $500 over the last year, right? So it's already up 50%. It may be, I'm hearing numbers of like $8,000 by middle of next year for 1 ounce of gold. This is quite a tremendous increase, but this is because of what's going on in the fiat world, right? So, so I'm going to see that there's going to be this massive amount of people that want to be able to do this. As long as we have these coins that are going at the current spot price. Sorry, I have this new kitten my wife brought, and it's brand new, so it's a little.
I had a kitten near me the other day, and it was standing near the front door meowing, and I sometimes let it in, and then when I opened the door, it went meow, and it walked away. It was like, no, it's saying no. I think I think what you're trying to say is there will be opportunities to actually do something with this. We know that with the
it's in itself, the gold grain coins, outside of the Kringle Gold ecosystem, all by itself, there'll be a high demand for it. I don't see saturation at all. I think, it could literally, surpass Tether within a year. As the fiat system looks more shaky, who's going to want to move into Tether, right? Who's going to move in? It'd be like going into USD. And if USD is deflating quickly, then people are going to want to run to gold, and this will be there for them to use. And since our focus is always gold at spot, whatever coins that are out there floating around, going between exchanges and peoples and things like this, will always be at the spot price. I think that is its benefit that actually is a lot different than what a lot of the other coins out there that are trying to do something with gold. They're not really focused that way, and we're backed by crypto and not gold, though we acquire gold. A terminology for this would be that the gold is the final backstop, after everything else is there. But we always have the gold for every coin that's out there. So 1 grain of gold for every.
Well, Well, when I said saturation, it was mainly from the point of view of people becoming aware of this and hundreds of people screaming, but the other thing, before I just on this, on the actual marketing or mentioning that, what I think would be a good idea, which hasn't really happened with TBC. It has on their Bitcoin bounty and things, but what I think would be a good idea, so you've got a few videos here, which, we're all talking about it and you're explaining it, but I think we could do with a simple 5 or 10 minute video that explains it, gives a simple rundown of what it exactly is, and the whole in 10 minutes, so that people can actually sit and watch it. So we shouldn't have to be teaching classes of people, live, and then they're having to just a simple 5 or 10 minute video that actually gives the bottom line, on everything you've talked about. You see, we could give that video to people, they could watch it, and then, if they need any help, and they can sign up. But that's what I think is missing with TBC.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is I'm trying not to, be too negative about what's going on with TBC right now.
I'm just comparing that, but I think with this, even without TBC, if we could get it doesn't even have to be a professional. It could just be you just giving the rundown in 5. And to you imagine a brand new person knows nothing about anything. 5 or 10 minutes, let them watch it. We shouldn't have to be explaining it over and over again to different people. And I know this is a problem. I know that the members are having this and they've given up. So one simple video.
No, my plan is to do a 10-minute and a 2-minute video.
Yes, yeah, that's all we need. And then people can sign up. We can fill in the gaps after. But we don't want all these videos. I mean, if you go to the TBC now, there's thousands of videos, and people are just confused. So let's if you want to get people in first, and then if they want to watch more, that's fine, but at least get them in so know what it is, and what their role is. Remember those 3 things?
Sure.
People need to know what this is, what it isn't, and what their role is. Those are the only 3 things. Now, if people don't know one of those things, then they're not qualified to join. They're not qualified to tell other people, are they, if they don't know those 3 things?
I got it. All right, so
I know I had a bit of a rant, but I've just got to get it out.
No, it's fine. I'm happy. Glad to see you. We haven't talked for a little bit, so good.
And Joe, I can see Joe Young smiling, so he knows this is truth. You see.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to bring on Alan, and I'm going to mute you. Just raise your hand, Gerald or Art, if you want to come back on. All right, so Alan, I'm going to unmute you. You sent me a note. Yes, this is Alan. Hello, Alan.
Hey, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing real good.
Sorry you weren't getting the Zoom meeting update. So
Well, that's okay. I was been fighting off this cold anyhow. So.
Well, I don't know if Richard is coming on as well, but Alan is basically one of our founding members here with this whole setup, and maybe you want to introduce yourself and say a little about what your background is.
Yeah, my name's Alan Myers. Dan and I have been working on lots of projects for quite a few years, and cryptocurrency is something that we've been working on, and we just didn't out of the blue one day decide, oh, we're going to do this. So this is some technology and strategies that we've been talking about for some time. I have a lot of background in the banking and monetization of different ways to monetize and instruments, and how we can leverage the gold and to be able to make this ecosystem a successful ecosystem. Also, my background's been high technology, and security, throughout the world. So Dan and I, have been working a lot on the technology and our security concerns and some of the differences and bottlenecks that we see in cryptocurrencies as they exist today. So
well, maybe let's talk a little bit about how gold is used in the existing financial system.
well, gold is the major currency in the world. It's all the fiat currencies kind of broke away from it because they didn't want to have anything to back their currencies. So now we're going back with Basel III, Basel IV back into gold-backed assets, or any currency that's being generated has to have some kind of asset that can be monetized and back the actual value to what's in an in-ground asset or above-ground asset that gives any country's currency a value today. That's where we're going back to. So, but they realize that they have to stabilize that the country's currency. At the same time, the whole digital currency world is growing. The banking industry is very concerned about what's going on there, so they're trying to get into the game also and have it backed. So we're kind of doing the same kind of strategy of backing this digital currency with the gold-backed asset.
Yeah. So what is Basel III, Basel IV?
Well, these are standards in the world, the world banking and IMF, and they've come up with these standards so that we can actually have a currency in the world that's that can be traded and used that has some value behind it. Because right now, a lot of the currencies out there don't have any value, that are associated to the paper itself. That left the U.S. dollar, the gold certificates and the silver certificates way back when anyhow. So the point is these dollars out there, the banks and were leveraging fiat money and printing fiat money that didn't have anything behind it, which causes inflation, deflation, and also derivatives. The derivative whole industry is just collapsing around the fiat currency, and they saw that coming for some time. So their only way out of that industry was to start looking at Basel III and Basel IV to make sure that the banking institutions were going to have, the countries were going to actually have assets to secure the paper that they're generating. So at least that gives some comfort to the paper out there. But the number one currency in the world is gold.
Well, so who do you think is going to be interested in next gold grain coins? How many grains you think are going to be moving out next year?
Pardon me, Dan?
I said, who do you think would be interested in acquiring grains?
Well, I think anybody that's dealing in digital currency would be wanting to get a digital currency with a grain tied to it. That's the marketplace is the next generation of thinking of banking out there is going into a digital world. So you might as well have something that has something behind it, that's got some kind of underlying support. So, we were looking at, our models similar to what, we're trying to follow a Basel concept in theory, that we have some underlying support to make this ecosystem strong and viable, and not just a digital currency that everyone's buying into hoping that it goes up. We hope ours goes up at the same time, but at the same time, we're hedging our strategy with the gold-backed assets. So we're trying to protect the ecosystem at the same time, not just depending on it, just in, strictly going up in value and people having to cash out. Just look what happened to Bitcoin. You know, it's gone up, gone down. You know, it's all over the place right now. So, you know, so in a, you know, in a hedge environment, this is what all hedge funds do. So, you know, they're buying an asset, but they're also buying a hedge to that asset to keep it somewhat stable. So we're trying to already create that stable environment, that ecosystem within this one digital currency that we're building. So anyhow.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it on today. I wasn't able to reach out to you, so but I figured you might have been, you know, still not feeling well. But I'm glad you were able to come on.
No, that's the reason I'm not on video today. I got a bad hair day.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah. I'll go ahead. I'm gonna go through a couple of questions that people have posted here in the chat, and then there's another hand up. But I'll get the questions here first. Well, one, someone was asking to make sure the audio is posted in the Kringle Gold News. I will do that. I got one of the audios up. I'll get the other for the other last 2 days up as well. Actually, I think I got just the launch audio up, and then I'll get all 3 of these up. This will be the last one for a little bit, maybe maybe for until you know, after the new year or something like that, and will come about. Then next question is, as we participate after the launch on phase 1, how are we rewarded since KaRaT reward is on phase 2? Okay, well, in phase 1, we're focused on just the gold rank coins. So there is a commission, and the commission is basically 5%. And so everyone that you make sales with, you get 5% of that. Now, everyone that's direct to you, you will have a 100% match. On your second level, you'll have a 50% match. And on your third level, down to 10 levels, you will have a 10% match on whatever commissions that they are getting from the sale of the coins. So this is the way in which you will be rewarded, right? It's not about getting KaRaTs right now. That comes after we start also the Sarah Gold up, and that starts moving on a daily basis the value into the ecosystem. So, let's see, next one here. Please explain what are the factors that will increase the value of the coin as we progress. So which coin do you mean? Gold grains or KaRaTs, right? I'll talk about both. So gold grains are whatever the price of gold is. We can anticipate that it's going to go up dramatically over the next few years. As for KaRaTs, it really is depending upon two factors. One is obviously what's coming in from the Sarah Gold or other programs, but let's just say Sarah Gold. And the second factor is the abundance formula has to do with the amount of transactions that are happening. So the more transactions that happen, so if there's a lot of transactions happening and that rate of increase is there, it actually can drive more to be put into the reserve, the KaRaT value reserve. So the more transactions, the more that gets set aside, which means less coin is going out, but it actually causes the price to rise. The more value set aside, the higher the price of the coin. And that's basically the for both coins. Number two, When is the first set of gold coins are all sold out? The next set of gold coins will be minted and ready for selling. How would it affect the present value of the coin? It makes no difference how many we put out, because we're always going to have the gold and put it through this process. We have our process. If you go to the grain section of the website, just look at our process. That happens each time. So let's say we have a minting event, and let's say 1 million of the grains gets minted. We're going to buy 1 million grains of gold, and that value is going to sit there. Yes, we put it through our process of storage and leveraging, and it moves the value into the Sarah Gold, and the value moves into the ecosystem. But we can do that, and always the value is there. We never have to, you know, it's never about destroying any coin. Once a gold grain is there, it's there forever. Because those gold grain coins have the value sitting there. Not about destroying them or burning coins. Don't have to do that. The value is there. We're never selling the gold. It's always going to be sitting there. All right. Let's see. What's next here? What is the relationship between grains and membership? There is not really a direct relationship. Grains are as they are. You don't have to be a member to have grains, right? They go out into the marketplace and be traded between, let's say, you know, Binance, for example, has you know, $100 million worth. You took care of your bad hair day with a hat. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. There you go. I think I hit unmute. There you go.
Yeah, I put my beanie on.
Okay.
It's winter here.
Yeah. Oh yes, I have my fan on over here.
Yeah.
So, Henry, I was just going over the, you know, membership is attached. So, when we're talking about the ecosystem, the Kringle Gold ecosystem, then you're a member, right? So, in particular, if you have if you've got, like I was saying, if you say Binance had $100 million worth of these coins, right? Or without saying dollars, let's say they had 100,000 Bitcoin worth of these coins. It's in there, and people are using it as a stable coin, and they're doing trades, and they're going back and out and forth. You don't have to be a member of the Kringle Gold ecosystem to use the gold grain coins. But that's because they're out there on the market, right? Whatever. But if you're using them internally, then you are a member, right? And you're using them internal to the ecosystem. So you can be using them inside or outside. Okay, what else? How does it grow with the number of members? I'm not sure what you mean by how does what grow. So you'd have to clarify that. All right, how do we acquire the KaRaT apart from participation? Do we have a personal wallet? Well, yeah, there'll be a wallet, and you know, we'll hold several different kind of crypto. It'll be a super wallet, so you'll have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, grains, KaRaTs, all in your Kringle Gold wallet, your super wallet. But you know, as for acquiring them within the system, you could get KaRaTs from another member, all right? But it's, only internal to the system, right? All right, next. How can one participate in getting KaRaTs? Well, so participation in, say, Sarah White. There's Sarah Gold, there's Sarah White, there's Sarah Red. So all the different Sarahs. We can actually add some more Sarahs if we come up with ways to do them. So you could, let's say, participate as Sarah White, which means you just bring Bitcoin in to your wallet, and you're going to add that to activate Sarah White on your Bitcoin. So you'll be participating and getting KaRaTs based upon what is happening with there. Now, the other participation is by, let's say, growing members, verifying posts that people have done, posting yourself, or many other things that we will have come up with things that need to get accomplished within our community. So if our community needs something to get done, we can put it out there. Points are generated, which gives you a bigger amount coming to you from the generated coin. Okay, does it grow with the number of members? If the value of Bitcoin becomes 0, for instance, can this affect the value of grains? No, still 1 grain of gold, because we actually have 1 grain behind. So I don't expect that we're going to have that, but this is also the reason why we're working to do an insurance policy based upon the guaranteed payout. So that would be the other side of this. So, but that is also listed there on there. We talk about we've had conversations with Lutz. So we still have our still lining up some of our ducks and everything, but there's no problem with our proposal and what we want to do. But we do have to finalize that. But that's our ultimately the final piece of that is we're guaranteed because we're going to have it insured. Gold at spot. All right, well that covers everything. Oh, there was one hand up. Who was it? Dodson, I think, but it doesn't look like he's on. We might have lost him. Anyone else want to put their hand up and ask a question? Please feel free. Going once. Going twice. Oh, good. We're out of here. All right, I wanted to keep these down to about an hour to, hour and a half, something like that. So we're just over an hour. So we can end this, and I look forward to coming back for the new year, and maybe around the 3rd, maybe we'll start this. We should be ready, actually. I was going over with the programmers on the affiliate side of this, right? And so testing is underway. It could be ready actually tomorrow. I don't want to, schedule, let's say, hey, let's start. Actually, okay, how about this? Raise of hand, who would want to start on January 1st? If it's ready, just raise your hand. We can also do the 6th of, we were thinking of something like the 6th, which is like Monday, and really when everyone goes back to work, So we got 3 raised hands so far. See, 4. We got 20 people online, so we're almost at 20%, 24%. All right. Well, I don't know if you're raising on the screen here and not on the screen there. I can't count that. So, okay, we're up to 5 hands online there. 22 participants. Oh, we gained 2. Maybe some came back. Did Godson come back here yet? So I know you had your hand up, but no, he's not back here yet. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lower everybody's hand. Oh, we got one more. Lower all hands. Okay, I lowered everybody's hand now. Okay, so if you want to ask a question now, raise your hand. Oh, hello, Glenda. I see you're back. Okay. I guess we're good then. We're good for today. So, have everyone should have a happy New Year. Now where everyone's coming on right now. Hey, we're done. All right. So we'll be anyway. We'll keep updated by way of Telegram, and we'll discuss a little bit more if there's a reason to start on the 1st or the 6th or the 3rd. We can do the 3rd. Who wants to do it on the 1st? And everyone's still hung over on the 2nd. All right. Oh, one hand is up. All right. And 2 hands are up. All right. I'm going to unmute. I clicked it. Unmute. Charles, I'm trying to unmute you. There you are. You're unmuted. Charles?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. I hear you.
So why can't we go for first?
We could.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go.
Oh, okay. We can vote for the 4th. All right. Well, we'll decide, and let's see if it's ready first before.
All right.
So, tomorrow if they say, oh, it's all working, and I try it and I do some tests, so I'll probably bring up a couple people and say, okay, let's do some tests, get like 10 people, and see if it's working.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
All right. All right, next, Edwin. Unmute Edwin. Okay. Edwin, you're unmuted. Hello, Edwin? You're set to go, Edwin. You can ask your question if you got a question. Okay. Oh, Edwin's gone. There we go. All right. Well, that's it then. Happy New Year. We'll see you. I'm going to unmute everyone. Everyone say goodbye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Abundant New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year from Nigeria.
Happy New Year from me.